I think many of you know Ira. Ira's been obviously in theatrical marketing, digital for many years, a veteran of the space. As Bettina mentioned, my background's more 20 years on the gaming side of the business, both at the Walt Disney Company, most recently at Activision. But today, I'm CEO of a tech startup company called AdColony, and we focus on delivering high-definition video and mobile devices like this. What we wanted to do today, just Ira and myself, is talk through three things. One was I wanted to talk a little bit about just the mobile landscape and actually share with you just some interesting stats. Maybe you guys are all very familiar with this, but maybe for some of you, it'll be new news. Number two, I'm going to share a case study that we just did with Nielsen that looks at the cross-platform ad effectiveness when you advertise on TV plus mobile video. So it's never been done before. We've never presented it in a forum like this before. So I thought it was something that would have a lot of relevance to a lot of people in the room. And we did that with the film Contraband, thus the title of this presentation. And then third, we want to talk about Fox and how Fox is looking at mobile, the mobile platform, and how they're driving demand there. So there is a clicker up here, isn't there? I'm supposed to have. Here we go. So I wanted to get started just with some information on the mobile landscape. And you know, I think, Bettina, like some of the historical context that you presented at the beginning of the day today was really interesting. I love that. Kind of comparing the disruption of television back in the 50s to kind of what we're seeing in the digital space today. And I think it's a perfect analogy. And I would say the one difference, or some dynamic that's a little bit different, is speed. So going back to the 1950s, if you look at how long it took for television to reach a tipping point in the United States, how many years it took before we hit over 50% US penetration, it actually took 12 years. On mobile today, and if you look at smartphones and tablets, and kind of looking at the start of when the iPhone came out in 2007, we're going to reach that tipping point in half the time, kind of 5 to 6 years before, and that's actually this year, in 2012, we're hitting that tipping point. So it's that speed of what these platforms are advancing at, which is one of the biggest differences, but it is causing a lot of disruption, a lot of differences in how we go to market and business models. And so that's, I think, something that strikes us as tremendously unique. And I think more specifically, I think it was in Jake and Elias's presentation talking about, well, theatrical entertainment marketing is about scale, and that was it 2 commas. Mobile's going to hit 3 commas in terms of global reach by the end of this year. So over 1 billion install base users. So it's very big. It's going to be very disruptive. But when you look deeper within mobile, these are some things that we see. So there are different dynamics between apps and the mobile web, different behaviors. We are seeing apps are where a lot of time is being spent. iOS is dominating, and social and gaming are where 80% of minutes are being spent. So when you're looking for long session times and engagement, that's really important. This is just a big stat about mobile video, and it's actually one of the things probably holding back this platform from its true potential, is that this number, 203,644,607, that's how many seconds are being wasted a day because people waiting for video to load. And so this, and if you translate into years, that's 6 years a day being wasted when people are on poor connections. When you're on Wi-Fi, it's pretty good, but when you're on poor connection speeds, you have to kind of look for, you know, consider that when you're marketing your films mobile, of what's going to deliver videos instantaneously. So what we did is to go a step further, is study like what is the effectiveness when you look at all the traditional metrics that Nielsen looks at in terms of brand awareness, search, brand favorability, and most important for this room, how to get butts in seats, like how do you drive purchase intent. And so what we did is we partnered together with Nielsen, Universal, and Ignited, who's here today, on a study to just better quantify like what is the impact when you flight TV advertising together with mobile video. This study was inspired by this white paper that Nielsen did that just basically said that 80% of consumers are doing something else while they're watching TV. So they're engaging on these digital devices like never before. And so it can be and on this, oftentimes people aren't multitasking. So it's a great way to engage with the consumer. And we did this campaign in the beginning of the year in January. And this is a high-level summary of the results. You could, download this off our website. But we saw unaided recall jump 600%. We saw recall jump 70%. Search, over 5x. Likelihood to recommend, like 3x, close to 3x. And then most important, did it create demand? Did it create people who wanted to actually go see that film? And we saw a 72% lift in purchase intent. So I think this is just some visibility into like things to think about, and that to think of it comprehensively. I think TV advertising plus mobile video can be a very effective way to drive demand for products. And I think it's going to be incredibly important going forward, looking at flighting strategies and other things. So that's a little bit that I had in terms of an overview. When I thought about some of the KPIs that you guys are oftentimes looking at, it's about like how do you drive completed video views, and especially in entertainment when you put so much money in the production values of your product and your ads are your product and you want to put that on a pedestal, we believe it's like you want to do that in high definition and make it load instantly. And so here's an example of an ad for this weekend's film, Ted. Oops, here, go back.
On June 29th,
I met a girl.
Nice. Make a date with Ted.
How great is this? The four of us out to dinner.
I'm always fascinated to meet Ted's girlfriends.
What do you mean girlfriends?
Whoa, whoa, whoa!
From the creator of Family Guy, Ted, rated R.
So you could see, that's an example of kind of what we're doing on mobile devices. The interesting thing, after the video runs, you have the opportunity to engage, and you could drive whatever engagement you want. If you want to drive long-form views of like the unrated trailer or the trailer on your YouTube channel, there's the opportunity to do that. You could engage socially. This is a campaign we did with Fox more recently to drive people to engage two ways, whether it's with Facebook or Twitter. Madagascar 3, again, it's like if you want tickets and showtimes, these are all things that are really relevant to drive people into theaters. Get them interested with video first, but then drive them with that two-way interaction afterwards. So that's kind of the summary that I had. Basically, mobile is reaching scale, and it just should be something, a part of every marketer's marketing strategy. TV plus mobile, we actually found that is a very effective combination in driving both your ad effectiveness and efficiency, and it could solve multiple objectives. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ira to talk a little bit about Fox and how they're using mobile.
I have no slides. Basically, talking about mobile, actually, Will was one of my first meetings when I came back to Fox a little over a year ago. And what I was most impressed was his technology and the fact that when the ads run, there is no buffering and it doesn't matter what kind of bandwidth or device you're on. And to me, mobile today is really where the internet was in, say, 97, 96 even, where there's lots of different ad unit formats. You have lots of people with different bandwidths and computer speeds and all those sort of things. And there are technology hurdles always to overcome, whether they were the old iBlast ads or even flash and non-flash ads and things like that. And that's, to me, where mobile is right now. And as a studio, I strive for us to have, of our limited digital dollars, at least 10% assigned to mobile. I believe that that's where the growth is. I believe that, as a film marketer, is where we're really going to get the most targeting. My phone is different than my daughter's phone, different than my wife's phone, whereas a family TV or even a family PC is shared by many people. And since we know who has the phone or what you like and what you don't like, and we can also get into where you're located and if you're near a theater and near a showtime and start pushing that information, and there are some ad products out there that actually do that. To me, that's where it's going to be headed for for theatrical marketing in digital space.
Cool.
So now we take questions.
All right, looks like Bettina and I are up with mics. Anybody have questions?
You did such a good job.
They silenced the crowd. Raise your hand high. All right, sorry. Bettina's going to head that way, and I'll head this way.
Hi, I'm Dea Lawrence from Point Roll. I have a question about the measurement and the reporting. So for you, Ira, when you were running these campaigns, what kind of metrics were important to you, and what kind of metrics could you measure on this in terms of just the mobile piece?
What content we measured on the mobile?
What kinds of metrics, and in the reporting, what was important to you, and how did you measure it?
We always look at completed views and clicks engagement. So are they pushing through to the show times? Are they, our buys are usually right up to the actual minute where the show times are. So how many people are clicking over to the show times or engaging with the ad for more form? Those are kind of the metrics we like to see. And what we've seen in mobile as a whole is they're always higher.
So what on average, what was the, if you don't
What's
mind,
the average?
If you don't mind saying, what was your benchmark on that?
I don't have it on the top of my head.
But it was like 25%? How much engagement did you get from it? Just out of...
I don't have it on the top of my head.
Well,
all right.
I could share just across the category, like across the 40 campaigns that we've run in the last year, we're seeing engagement rates, we only charge on completes, so we only do completions, and then we're seeing engagement rates on average between 3 and 5%. We've seen as high as 10%. But in digital, that's like huge, right? Like the desktop, if you get, I remember in my brand management, my marketing days, a 0.1% click-through is determined success. And I think we're seeing in mobile, because it is so new and growing, there's a high affinity consumer who wants to engage. It's not, you're seeing like very high engagement rates there right now.
Hi, Elena Alvarado-Peters from Electronic Arts. Can you talk a little bit about how the ads were served, and if it was prompted by, say, a commercial that ran for contraband, or if it was something that was demo targeted? The big question for me is, with second screen, is having that ability to roadblock, and if that was what was effective, or if it was that you were going after, say, a key demographic.
So, one thing that we always look at is when we have apps that we're working with our technology is what is the session times in the app. So if people are actually looking to just check the weather and they're in and out really quick, they're probably not as very receptive to seeing a 15 or 30-second ad. So like the session times in our network is really important. Like we're seeing about 14-minute on average session times. So we look for environments like that where people are engaging in a very deep way, whether it might be in between pages of content in a social app or between levels of a game in one of the most popular new apps or games. Those are some of the things that we kind of look at, and then we'll try to flight. You see in mobile, there's so much data, it's amazing, that starting at 4 o'clock West Coast time, you just see all the traffic starts to spike, which is a 7 o'clock East Coast time, and you see from almost like primetime viewing, you have that same dynamic in mobile too. So we really try to actually do flighting strategies to mirror, and to kind of sync up with TV.
Okay, yeah, it looks like we've got one more question.
Just a quick question. Simon Ward from Eisenberg again. Just a quick question. Do you use the same creative executions in TV and mobile?
Right now, we're mirroring what we do on TV. So we'll change our flights, but we will use a TV spot right now. I think the future for all video, be it mobile or digital, is specific creative for the specific device as well as the specific site. The challenge is the economics in creating these ad units, and how, if they continue to get cheaper, then I think we'll eventually get there. But I think that's the future, is being more relevant to the actual device and the site you're with.
Okay, we have one more.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, Brendan Gelman with Sharkon Media Vest. Question for Ira. So, in a typical theatrical release, presumably you have probably your own version of a marketing funnel that you'll follow in terms of how far in advance, or far enough advance of the release, you've got your focus on generating awareness in a movie, and then focus on engagement, and then you get into, when the movie releases, presumably you focus on the lower funnel, which is purchase and getting them to buy tickets to the showtime or to the show. Is that in fact correct? Do you guys devise separate strategies and tactics based on timing and the different stages of that funnel? And if so, how do you tend to usually allocate your budgets in terms of, do you focus more on the upper funnel, generating the awareness and engagement, versus the lower funnel and driving them into the theater?
Every film is different. I can't say every campaign is exactly the same. There's a lot of variables. What time of year it is. What are our options in traditional media? How much trailer play did we get? What was the trailer on? Was it on some big films or not so big films? So that's your early awareness. What type of creative you have, what demographic you have. So there's a lot of kind of different variables at different types of film. I can't say one way or the other. I mean, I can give an example on Stooges. It was real important in the digital campaign for us to engage kids who had no idea who the Three Stooges were. You knew we could get parents and moms easily on TV, but to get kids interacting with that brand, it was all focused on kids' gaming sites and fun things for kids to do to interact with the brand. So it wasn't really, driving. That was really about engagement. Where I'm trying to think, Prometheus at the end was just, trying to push people to get tickets because we had done, a year's worth of work in our viral campaign and everywhere else to get, awareness. So every film's different. Did I do good?
You did great.
Thanks, Bettina.